Just when you thought things had cooled down, bam! The US-China trade war is back and it's bigger than ever. The markets are in a free fall, the headlines are going crazy, and everyone is scrambling asking the same question.
So, what on earth just happened? After all this calm, why now? Well, as we're about to see, the answer has way less to do with the usual tariff talk and a whole lot more to do with giant ships, industries we've all but forgotten, and a kind of secret weapon that, believe it or not, powers pretty much everything in our modern lives.
All right, let's get right into it. The first move in this new chess game, it wasn't some big announcement from the White House or Beijing. Nope, it happened right in the middle of the action, in the huge, bustling ports that are basically the lifeblood of global trade.
It all kicked off with this surprise move by the US. They slapped a big new fee on any Chinese-owned or Chinese-built ship trying to dock in an American port. And China's response? It was fast and it was identical. They turned right around and said, okay, same fee, same day, on your ships. You can't get much more tit for tat than that.
But here's the thing you have to understand. This wasn't just some small toll. We're talking about a fee that could cost a single large Chinese cargo ship $500,000 for one visit. Add it all up, and the hit to Chinese trade could be somewhere between $17 and $23 billion a year. That's not a warning shot. That's a cannonball aimed right at the engine of China's economy.
So why ships? Why go after the shipping industry so hard? To really get the why behind this move, you have to dig into a bit of American history, into the story of an industry that was once a giant and is now, well, basically a ghost.
I mean, look at this. It's just wild how dramatic the fall was. Back in World War II, America was an absolute powerhouse, building something like 70% of all the world's ships. Think about that. At one point, we were launching 3 huge ships every single day. But then after the war, Japan and South Korea came onto the scene, and the US industry just fell off a cliff. By the 80s, it was practically gone.
And the crazy part is, this whole collapse can be traced back to a single law that was supposed to do the exact opposite. It's called the Jones Act, and it basically put up a huge wall around American shipping. The rule was simple. If you're moving stuff between 2 US ports, the ship has to be American through and through, built here, owned here, and crewed by Americans.
But that protection? It ended up being a trap. When you're totally shielded from competition, what happens? There's no reason to get better or cheaper. And that's exactly what happened. US shipbuilding costs went through the roof, sometimes costing 3 times as much as a ship built in Asia. So the very law designed to save the industry ended up killing it on the world stage.
And this chart, wow, it just lays it all out. Look at the difference. China is building more than half of all the ships in the world. And the US, we're at less than 0.1%. That's not just a gap, it's a chasm. Trying to bring an industry back from that kind of deficit, that's not something you do in a few years. We're talking decades.
So the US landed a heavy body blow with these port fees, but China had a knockout punch ready to throw back. And it wasn't aimed at ships, it was aimed at the very stuff that makes our modern world tick. This is their ace up their sleeve, rare earths.
So what exactly are rare earths? Well, funny enough, they're not actually all that rare. They're a group of 17 metals with these incredible magnetic and electronic powers. People call them industrial vitamins, and that's a perfect way to think about it. You only need a tiny pinch, but if you don't have them, the whole system just falls apart. And I mean everything. You'll find them in the powerful magnets inside electric cars and wind turbines. They're in your smartphone screen, and here's the really crucial part. They are absolutely essential for military tech. We're talking guided missiles, sophisticated radar, jet fighters, you name it. They're the foundation for both the green energy transition and for national security.
Now, if you look at where this stuff is buried, you see that China has the biggest reserves. Sure, but lots of other countries have them too. So if the raw material is all over the place, why does everyone say China has a monopoly? What makes their position so incredibly powerful?
And this is the secret. Getting the rocks out of the ground, that's actually the easy part. China's real power, their chokehold on the entire market, comes from the next step, the incredibly complicated, messy, and technologically advanced process of turning that raw ore into the super pure metals that companies can actually use.
Okay, get ready for this because this fact is kind of mind-blowing. The United States actually has its own rare earth mine. It's active. It's called Mountain Pass. It's in California, and right now they are digging this critical ore right out of the ground on US soil. But what do they do with it next?
They load it onto a ship and they send it to China for processing. You heard that right. The U.S. has to ship its own strategic materials to its biggest rival because right now it simply doesn't have the industrial facilities to refine it at scale. It's a staggering level of dependence for a resource that's critical to national security.
And that brings us right back to where we are today. This isn't your old-school trade war about washing machines and soybeans anymore. This is a head-to-head showdown between two very different kinds of industrial strength. Let's just break it down. On one side, you have the U.S., using its control over ports to apply pressure, hoping to maybe, one day, revive an industry that's basically gone. On the other side, you have China, holding the keys to an ingredient that the entire world, including the U.S., desperately needs right now. It's a classic case of asymmetrical warfare, economically speaking.
And really, that's the core of it. The U.S. is playing the long game here, a dream of rebuilding that could take decades. But China's leverage with rare earths? That's not a dream. That's a reality they can use as a weapon today.
So it leaves us with a really fundamental question, doesn't it? In this massive global chess match, what's truly more powerful? Is it the ability to build the giant ships that move everything around the planet? Or is it having control over the tiny, invisible particles that everything, including those ships, is made of?